Alright guys, our figure on the left, we have two triangles. I like to highlight or color code my corresponding sides. So if you look at where your right angle is, this 48 is actually the base of that bigger triangle, and then that 12 would be the base of my smaller triangle. So when I'm setting up my proportion to find the missing side length, my 12 and 48 need to be on the same, either on both on the top or both on the bottom, doesn't matter which one. And then that 9 is going to correspond, that's my height of my triangles, and the x is the height of my bigger triangle, and then x goes with my 48 and 9 goes with my 12. Now this is just a proportion. We can solve for our missing number. Couple ways you can do it. You can absolutely cross multiply then divide. If you did that, you would multiply 9 and 48 and then divide by 12, or some of you might be able to already see it. You can tell that 12 to 48 you multiply by 4, and if you do that on the bottom, you can do that on the top as well, which tells me my x value is 36. And since we did that, that times 4 is actually considered our scale factor. So what is the scale factor? It would be a positive 4. All right, next one, the scale of a map is 1 inch to 500 miles. If the map distance from Chicago to Tokyo is 11 1/4 inches, what is the actual distance? Set up a proportion and solve. So start with your given rate. We have 500 miles to 1 inch. I'm going to put my 500 miles on the top. Doesn't matter if you put inches on the top, that's fine. And then 1 inch on the bottom. And then on the right hand side, since I put miles on the top on the left, needs to be miles on the top and inches on the bottom again. And we have 11 1/4 inches here. So 11 1/4, which means my x, or my question mark, is up top there. Again, it's a proportion, multiple ways to solve this. I can clearly see that from 1 to 11 1/4, I can multiply by 11 1/4 to get my answer. And if I do that on the bottom, you have to do that on the top. You could have also cross multiplied then divide it, absolutely fine, and it would get you the same answer. So to do this, I would do 500 times 11 1/4. If you were to type this in your calculator, you would do 500 times 11.25, or you can work with fractions. That's a really big fraction. So I'm going to type it in my calculator. Either way, you should get the same answer, which was 5,625 miles. Don't forget your units since it's a word problem. A drawing of a student desk was 3 inches by 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw that. So here's my desk. It was 3 inches by 4 inches. Using a scale factor of 6, what are the dimensions of the actual student desk? And then what is the area? What is the perimeter? So they're saying that the drawing was 3 by 4, but using a scale factor, we can figure out the actual size of the desk. So my bigger real life model of a desk is going up times 6. So that means my side, my 3 here, times 6 can get me the side length, which would be 18. And then my width, which was 4, corresponds to my width of the actual desk. 4 times 6 would be 24. So my dimensions of the actual student desk would be 18 inches by 24 inches. It's asking for then the area and the perimeter of the actual desk. So in order to find the area, remember you just do base times height. So 24 times 18, which would give you 432 inches squared. And then our perimeter, a couple ways you can solve perimeter. I like to do 2 times my base plus my height you can just add all 4 sides. You would get the same answer, or you can do 2 times your base plus 2 times your height. Any of those will get you the same answer, which is 84 inches. A pine tree stands 84 feet tall and casts a shadow of 28 feet. How long is the shadow of a 5-foot rose bush standing next to the tree? Round to the nearest tenth. This helps if you set up a proportion. So I'm going to put my tree on the left and then my rose bush on the right. So if it's 84 feet tall, okay, so 84 feet tall and 28-foot shadow. So I'm going to put shadow just so I know which one's which. Doesn't matter if you flipped it, that's totally fine. Height could have gone on top, shadow could have gone on the bottom. But since I did it this way, make sure that you follow suit on the other side. So this needs to be the feet of my shadow, and this needs to be my height in feet of my rose bush. They told me my rose bush was 5 feet high, so the height was 5 feet here. So my X or my question mark is the shadow of my rose bush. From here, it's just a proportion. We can solve it. So cross multiply 28 times 5, whatever you get, divide it by 84. So step 1, 28 times 5, which you would get 140. Step 2, take your 140, divide it by your leftover number, 84. Should give you a final answer of 1.7 feet. So the shadow of the rose bush is 1.7 feet tall or high. Last but not least, refer to the figures below to answer A and B. The figures are not drawn to scale, obviously. So original design on the left, enlarged design on the right. What is the scale factor from the original to the enlarged? So we're going from the smaller to the bigger here. So if I look at this, my corresponding sides here, 6, it corresponds to 18, and 4 corresponds to 12. Well, if I look at that, 4 over 6 equals 12 over 18. I can clearly see my scale factor here would be times 3. So scale factor would be 3 from going from the original to the enlarged. The second question asks the opposite. So go from the enlarged to the original. Just flip your proportion. So 12 over 18, and I'm going to 4 over 6. So remember, scale factor needs to be written on multiplying by something. So a lot of you will want to say, well, I'm dividing by 3. Well, we want to write scale factor as multiplication. So divided by 3 is the same as multiplying by 1/3. So your scale factor here, going from the enlarged design to the original, would be 1/3.